Hi, Kasia here. I'm a PhD student at University College London, where together with Dr. Peter Bentley I work on spiking neural networks. Our most recent work focuses on architectural plasticity. In the brain, we can distinguish three timescales at which architectural changes take place: evolution, development, and learning. I'm going to refer to them as EDL. These changes can happen in two directions: progressive, through neurogenesis and synaptogenesis, and regressive, for example through pruning. As these architectural changes take place, it's important for the brain to maintain its functionality. This is achieved through various homeostatic mechanisms, including synaptic scaling. In artificial neural networks, pruning can be used to lower the computational cost and amount of data needed to train the networks. On the other hand, EDL can be used to automatically create and optimize learning agents. In our most recent work, we focused on implementing pruning alone and a whole EDL system in spiking neural networks with synaptic homeostasis and Hebbian learning. We used fully connected, feed-forward spiking neural networks with leaky integrate and fire neuron models. The implemented synaptic homeostasis mechanism maintains the sums of excitatory and inhibitory weights as a function of the number of neurons belonging to each category. When it comes to data, we worked with bitmaps of geometric shapes placed in a visual field and moving continuously in one of four directions: up, down, left, or right. These simple videos were mapped onto the network. During training, the neurons fire and update the weights. At this point, I would like to highlight that as spiking networks train, they can suffer from silencing or saturation of the weights. This is the reason for implementing a homeostatic mechanism. During testing, we take the activity of the output layer, vectorize it to encode the number of spikes at a given time point, and feed it into a Kohonen map. The Kohonen map clusters vectors coming from spiking neural networks that had different geometric shapes mapped onto them. We then score the quality of this clustering and use it as a measure of evolutionary fitness. In the current work, we extended this model by adding three kinds of pruning: random, and two kinds of conditional pruning: synaptic strength-dependent pruning and synaptic activity-dependent pruning. We performed three sets of experiments. The first goal was to test how random pruning affects performance of spiking neural networks with and without synaptic homeostasis. We found that homeostasis improves fitness of both control and pruned networks. Additionally, for networks with homeostasis, there was no difference between control and pruned networks. This is desirable and means that we can combine pruning and homeostasis to create smaller networks without performance loss. In the second set of experiments, we tested conditional pruning. This set of experiments was performed using an evolutionary approach. For pruned networks, we used two kinds of starting architectures: control architecture from the beginning or end of evolution. This was done to compare the effect of blank slate versus pre-evolve architecture in pruning. Synaptic homeostasis was implemented as before. We found no correlation between the amount of pruning and network performance. Pruning did not have a negative effect, and the best performing network happened to also have the highest proportion of pruned synapses. Removal of weak synapses improved the learning rate. Precision significantly improved in spiking neural networks with blank slate architecture, but not in spiking neural networks with legacy architecture, suggesting benefits of working with a blank slate when implementing pruning. In the final set of experiments, we focused on EDL. We worked with embryo networks with only one hidden neuron, with and without conditional pruning. These networks evolved the parameters describing the probability of growth, synaptogenesis, and neurogenesis. Synaptic homeostasis was implemented as before. Despite significant growth, networks remained stable. Spiking neural networks with synaptic pruning demonstrated a significant fitness increase. We found that synaptic homeostasis stabilizes network activity even during drastic architectural changes. Pruning can be used to reduce spiking neural network size without a performance loss. Pruning of weak connections increases the learning rate. For more details, see our paper.